Russia has become Europe's largest economy, said by Putin. The so-called economies of the global north, the USA, Japan, the EU, are slowly losing their role, their significance. China has become the leading economy, Russia has become the largest economy in Europe, which is already right in hot pursuit of Japan in the race for fourth place. Asian economies have risen very seriously in the rankings. India took third place, Indonesia rose to seventh and will soon begin to storm the position of Germany, which ranks sixth. All prosperity was based on two prerequisites: comfortable access to energy resources from Russia and the use of cheap production in China. In addition to that, European companies used the markets of Russia and China, which provided sales volumes. Gradual loss of all these elements leads to long-term stagnation of the European economy. We have left all of Europe behind in terms of purchasing power parity, but as for the per capita indicator, we need to work harder. There is still work to be done, said Russian President Vladimir Putin. Since the war began, Russia has been unable to access the substantial portion of its foreign exchange reserves held by its central bank, which were blocked in the West as a part of the sanctions for its invasion of Ukraine. The Russian central bank had claimed then that the quickly disappearing surplus was one of the contributing factors to the ruble's decline. In 2023, the currency had lost over 30% of its value. In a veiled attack on the United States and other Western countries, the Kremlin, in October last year, had said that the Russian economy has adapted well to the Western sanctions and Moscow doesn't fear more such action. Kremlin further said that the sanctions have boosted its domestic economy and industrial production. Russia's foreign trade has shifted, causing a 30% depreciation in the ruble due to declining oil prices and EU embargoes on Russian oil. While exports have decreased by 32%, imports have increased by 17% due to innovative ways to bypass trade sanctions. China is Russia's most important alternative country of origin for products under sanction. 61% of all products subject to sanctions come from China. Despite EU restrictions, only around one-third of pre-war exports to Russia are fully sanctioned. Most trade remains unaffected or subject to numerous exemptions. The central bank's rate hike stabilized the exchange rate, but inflationary pressures persist. The Russian economy shows signs of recovery, driven by robust domestic demand from wartime fiscal stimulus, contributing about 10% to GDP in 2022-23. Real GDP and industrial production have grown by 2.5% and 3%, respectively, indicating recovery from the economic crisis. Sectors benefiting include manufacturing with significant military output, construction, and hospitality. This year's economic growth forecast for Russia is revised upward to 2.3%, but labor shortages and technological setbacks due to Western sanctions pose challenges. The expected slowdown to below 2% in the coming years could result from higher interest rates limiting credit growth. Prolonged conflict may lead to continued reliance on military spending, potentially causing post-war economic stagnation.